say good morning once again. Of course, it's another Financial Tuesday. I want to say good morning to Lady Elise. Morning, Lady Elise. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning. I am doing well. I am being grateful in the words of one of our members of the team. I'm being grateful this morning. God has certainly been good.
Amazing. Of course, I was thinking, long and hard. There's a word that came up this morning. You know the concept of take your beam out of your own eye before you take it out of somebody else's eye. What does that mean? What does that mean to you? When you hear that statement, what does that actually mean to you as a person? Take the beam out of your own eye before you take it out of somebody else's.
It means look at your own self. Look in the mirror. Where's my mirror? I had my mirror right here. Yeah.
Let me ask the next question. So the better question is, does this also apply to preachers who go to preach the gospel of telling people about their sins? I don't know. Let me ask. Is this something that, because if we don't understand it properly, we may go away with the wrong understanding that we should not say anything about anybody's behavior, and they come anyhow they want to come behave anyhow they want to behave because you have problem too, I have problem, left me alone. That kind of thinking. I want to know what it actually means. How do you navigate that narrow space? Jesus said it, I understand. And this is where we are this morning. And I'm thinking about that concept. And it is there lingering.
I am
call and say, hello, Miss Lee, yes, it's me, Earthquake, I come in Tuesday around 10. No, sir. Earthquake does arrive unannounced, and when it come, it shake all sense and sensibility out of we. Remain calm, stay inside, and do the DCH. Drop, hover, hold on. Once the shaking starts, you know it's earthquake. Make a quick move to a safe place. Don't run to the door, we are in the exit. Stairs might block up or full of people. Elevator, avoid that, because you might get in and poof, power gone, and you're stuck in that box without ear. Take cover under a strong table or a bed, or crouch against an inside wall or in a corner, and cover your face and your head with your arms. Remember, DCH, drop, cover, hold on. Glass windows and doors, outside walls and doors in an earthquake, bad news. Take for yourself. Most injuries during earthquakes happen when something drop and hit people entering or exiting a building. Last thing, don't want to run outside and ask, you feel it, you feel it? Remain calm, stay indoors until all the shaking stop, and do the DCH, drop, cover, hold on.
I'm Audley Scott, and you're listening to Flashpoint Radio. Rise and shine, your morning boost of inspiration, news, and fun. With Mikey G, Lady Elise, and Coralie Karen, the unmistakable combination, synergized to navigate.
All right, welcome back. We are talking a little bit on the, a little lead topic, Take the beam out of your own eye before you take it out of somebody else's eye. It's a very good one, right? I'm thinking about it all morning and I can't stop myself.
There's a song, Mikey G, there's a song done by Michael Jackson. It says, I'm talking to the man in the mirror.
I'm speaking to the man in the mirror.
Asking him to change his ways, you know.
So we shouldn't have any preachers preaching then, because preachers are also fallible people, you know, people who have sin and all of that too. And they have situations.
Right, but
so should we have them talking to us and you know, with this particular concept, should we have people who have themselves exposed to similar issues or problems, maybe different ones, not the same as I am going through, come and then preach to me or talk to me or try to give me any form of advice or anything? Should I not say, take the beam out of your eye before you come looking at the one in my eye?
But look at it this way, Mikey G. The point is, we are all humans, and we recognize that there is no perfection in anyone. We have all sinned and come short, right? And so we recognize that we all are a work in progress. We are, and sometimes it's as a result of our own experiences or mistakes even, that we can testify and we can speak. The ministers can speak because they have been there, they have made mistakes, they have sinned, they have gone through difficulties themselves. So I will say, with this knowledge, then when someone goes, who are we to judge then? That's my question I would ask.
Take the beam out of your own eye before you take it out of my eye.
All right, I get you. I get the point. I get the point.
This is the storyline that is being perpetuated, propagated. People are latching on to this statement. But when somebody say, "Ma'am, sir, your pants too tight," "Sir, go cut your hair, man. Groom yourself, make you look like somebody."
Yes.
I mean, sir, please, at least, man, you're not allergic to deodorant, man. Come on. You know, hold on, listen, hold on. You're not allergic to water. You know, just take a shower now, man, you know. Anyways, but I'm not talking like that. I'm saying there are persons who, I can't tell my sister, say, boy, your skirt too short, you know. And you come praise the Almighty in the church, in God's temple. Get a longer one, man. I want a little bit too much, too little bit. In fact, when you go just measure, better use more of the cloth. Hold on, here's the next one. So there are some churches or some congregation that wear jewelry and wear lipstick and makeup and all of that. All of that, right? And there are some that don't wear it. Would you agree?
Yes. Yes.
So the ones that wear it, wear as much as you can. You can't stop them from. You can't say don't wear it because that's what your custom is. No so?
Right.
Right. Did I say no so? Right. Because somebody who don't know it says no so it go. That's how it go. You know, any other group. 18 function. But then there are other congregations that do not wear lipstick. They don't wear eyeshadow, and they don't wear the awnings, like them awnings and stuff. Right? And so we're saying that if you go to that one, then if you go with and you understand what I'm saying? You can't have more jewelry. You know, I'm just saying what I am saying. Because you have to see that this set of people don't wear jewelry. This set of people don't wear lipstick or makeup. You know what I mean? But then you have one set that does it and it is fine. Now, how do you navigate, take the beam out of your eye before you take it out of somebody else's? Would it be to say that if I see somebody wearing jewelry in a place that it should be worn, and I say don't wear jewelry, and I am wearing it, somebody should say take it off for yourself first, right? And so if I'm seeing somebody in another situation where they're wearing jewelry and I am wearing jewelry and we're not supposed to wear jewelry, how it works? You see, it's a mix-up kind of thing. So you start to wonder if anybody can talk to anybody.
If anybody can, that's a good question. Anybody can talk to anybody. That's a serious conversation you start out this breakfast hour with. I want to pause to say good morning to our viewers tuned in on Facebook and YouTube. And if you're listening on our web radio, www.flashpointmedia.ky, we certainly welcome you. It's a rainy morning right here in Georgetown, Grand Cayman. And we marked the beginning of the hurricane season with rain. Well, it's a rain morning, but so I'm encouraging you guys to stay dry. Bring your umbrellas. If you're driving, please don't splash up the pedestrians. And
I know exactly how it works when you try to splash pedestrians. They take up a big stone and hold it up high. Pedestrians,
right?
Hold the rock of salvation in your hand.
Look out for your brothers and sisters who are walking or riding if you are driving, and try not to splash them up, and try not to speed. Remember, the roads are wet. If you're late for work, there's no point you speeding at this time. Proceed with caution. If you have not already left for work and you're running late, please try and be safe on the road. Wet roads means slippery roads. Be careful as you traverse the roadways this morning. It is indeed a rainy morning right here in Georgetown, Grand Cayman. Expect that there might be a little bit more delay as you traverse the roadway because persons are probably moving a little bit slowly, navigating the wet, rainy weather. So that's what's happening right here in Georgetown, Grand Cayman. I will catch up with the Hurricane Center to see if there are any updates that we will need to share with you. But it is the morning that we share our financial tips. And of course, our financial advisor started a series on estate planning. Today would be part 2 of that series.
As a reminder, guys, the only time you're late is when you're dead. So please, take care, take heart. Of course, our financial reports comes up next, of course, when we come back.
The second series of estate planning. Today we'll speak about how to write a will. And why do you really need one? I am Richard Felwell, your financial advisor. Now, most people avoid thinking about wills because, let me be honest with you, it reminds us of our morbidity and our mortality. But writing a will is not about death. It's about taking care of the people you love after you are gone. Now, what is a will? A will is a legal document that outlines who gets your property when you die, who will be the guardian for your minor children if it's applicable, who will carry out your wishes. That is the person who is called the executor. Now, without a will, you are said to have died intestate, which means the government decides how your assets are to be distributed. That process can be slow, painful, public, and expensive. So let us start first with what happens if you die without a will. Let me paint this picture for you. Imagine you pass away suddenly and your family has no idea what your wishes were. No one is legally appointed to take charge. The court then steps in and makes its decisions. Decisions that you could have made yourself. In some cases, property is tied up in court for months or even years. Families are less frustrated, grieving, and sometimes even fighting. And all of this could have been prevented with a will that takes 30 to 60 minutes to draft. So what do we include in a will? Here are some basics that we will cover. 1. Your full name and declaration. Start by saying, my name is, and this is my last will and testament, and it revokes all previous wills. Number 2, you want it by saying, choose who you'll appoint to be your executor. As a reminder, your executor is someone you choose and trust to carry out your wishes. This could be a spouse, an adult child, a close friend, or even your lawyer. 3. Guardian for your minor children. If you have children under 18, name a guardian, someone who will take care of them if you pass away. 4. Distribution of assets. List who gets what. You don't have to go into extensive detail unless you want to. You can say something like, all my possessions go to my spouse, or I leave my car to my son and my art collection to my niece. Then, of course, you have your residual clause. This covers anything you may have forgotten to include in the will. It's a safety net to ensure everything is accounted for. And finally, remember to sign to the will and have it witnessed. Sign and date your will in front of at least 2 witnesses, people who are not beneficiaries, and that's very important. They must not be beneficiaries. In many jurisdictions, their signature makes the will legally valid. Now, there are some common mistakes that are made, and so I want us to avoid them. Now, let's go through a few pitfalls to stay clear of. Not updating your will after a major life change. These life changes could include marriage, divorce, birth of a new child, or acquisition of a new property. And remember, when we say property, we're not just talking about real estate. It could be a new car or a new set of golf clubs. Another mistake to avoid, naming an untrustworthy executor or someone who may not be capable of handling the responsibility. Another, being too vague about your asset distribution. In other words, you may say, I leave my tennis clubs or tennis rackets to my first son, yet you may not decide to leave your other tennis equipment to anybody else. So you want to make sure that you cover it as detailed as possible when you're naming a particular item. And of course, a lot of us forget about digital assets, your email, social media, cryptocurrency, online banking. All of these are also assets that can be named in a will. Now, should you do your will yourself? Now, of course, there are a few free or low-cost templates which are online, and if your estate is simple, that might work. But the moment you own a business, property, have children with multiple relationships, or own property in more than one country, then I suggest that you get professional guidance. Remember, it's not just about drafting the will. It's about drafting a valid will that will hold up in court. So now that you have gone, or we have gone through a will, what I'd like you to do this week is to take these action steps. One, write down the name of someone you trust to be your executor. List your beneficiaries. These are the people you would want to receive your belongings. Think about a guardian for your children if it's available, and schedule time to draft or review your will. If you already have one, when was the last time you looked at it? Having a will isn't about how much you have. It's about clarity, direction, love. It gives your family peace during a time of loss. And that, my friend, is priceless. Next week, we'll talk about trust and how they can help you avoid probate, protect your privacy, and manage your estate long after you're gone. Until then, I'm Richard Thelwell. You can reach me at broker@richardthelwell.com. Stay wise, stay prepared, and take charge of your legacy. Thank you.
When you need ultrasound that's safe and effective, you must visit Asai Ultrasound Imaging. They're conveniently located at number 4 Chestnut Center, Smith Road, Georgetown, Cayman Islands. With experienced technologists with over 20 years experience, their friendly staff will make you comfortable while you get your procedure done. Asai Ultrasound Imaging is open Mondays to Fridays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturdays. Call Asai Ultrasound Imaging 345-949-2454 or 345-938-3426. That's 345-949-2454 or 345-938-3426.
I'm Audley Scott, and you're listening to Flashpoint Radio. Rise and shine, your morning boost of inspiration, news, and fun. With Mikey G, Lady Elise, and Coralie Karen, the unmistakable combination, synergized to navigate.
Welcome back. Yes, we are having some serious conversations. I want to say a special good morning to our listeners joining us from all over the globe. Whether you're in New York, you're in US, you're in Grand Cayman, you're in Jamaica, wherever you are, we welcome you to the breakfast hour. Sometimes it's a bit uncomfortable for us to talk about death and dying, the fact that we have a number of years to live here on earth, and we talk about planning your estate. Now, Richard started last week by reminding us that you don't need to have loads and loads of assets. It could be your car, your bank account. You have an estate, and anything could happen at any time. That's the world we live in. It might be not a very comfortable conversation to have, but certainly it's one that's worth having. So there we have some tips and we have some steps that we need to take this week. Write down those things, write down those names, write down an executor, and make sure you have a valid will. Too often you hear people fighting over deadlift. Have you heard that, Mikey G?
That's a good one. I mean, a long time I haven't heard the concept being openly spoken of. Deadlift.
Yes.
And so it is what it is. And quite frankly, some people would like to take your life to get to make you unalive, to create that narrative quicker than normal, right? But it is very sad that it's a human thing that we have to plan our death while we are still alive. and
Yes,
and
yes,
and by
yes.
doing that, sometimes we make some devious and wicked decisions that hurt the family or the persons that you claim to love behind, and more than you can ever imagine in your lifetime. In your death, you have done more harm than good.
Yeah,
You have
because when
destroyed.
you
You
think,
have used your death to be a destructive agent to the very family that you have.
you know, the conversation, it spans such a wide area because there are areas that I never thought about as an estate, like your email and your online banking and those things. You don't consider them as part of your estate, what is going to happen and what the family is left to deal with after your passing. So certainly it is an important discussion to have, and I want to thank Richard for opening the doors and allowing us to think about it. I have
Some of,
always been one of those persons to put it on the back burner,
some
if
of the
I'm honest with you.
conversations some of the conversations you're having is of additional family members who are never, who are addition to the family or in some
Yes.
ways attached to you, the family, by whichever means, right? So your daughter might marry somebody,
Hmm.
or your son might marry somebody. And then by doing that, it creates another problem because now, it is important that each person is trying to, people say, grab for yourself kind of way.
Yeah.
And so it is us versus them all of a sudden within the same family. We are siblings, we are brothers and sisters. But by the time you get a husband or a wife, it is us versus them. It is my family versus their family. It's your brother and sister and you were family once, but no, we are on opposite sides. And we see these things often happen in this event when someone don't make a will. And even if they do make one, and it's not seemingly shared the way everyone thinks, or the persons who are getting these assets shared too, they are having a different problem, and it can create another situation altogether. And so it is very interesting to note that we find so many people that goes and operate within this spheres, in this concept, in this mindset of trying to do more for themselves by giving what they should to the children. I say,
Yes.
why not try to give them while you're still alive? But then that's another problem also. The problem is,
Mhm.
if you give your children things while you're alive, and then they leave you out of the things that you give them and put you in the poorhouse. And so you're looking at these things because you're not looking at loyalty anymore. You're looking at people who are loyal to themselves. And these little people become big people who are sometimes very ungrateful and wicked. You have to
Right.
watch these things, right? And so you might say, these are my children. But some of these children are more enemies than a stranger outside. Dangerous. And this is something that when you're thinking about making wills, you have to be careful of how you do this one little thing.
And one of the interesting things that he mentioned is that you can make a will and it's not valid because you choose the witness is also a beneficiary. So then you have a situation. And I don't know if many of us have been following a story of someone who is very established hotelier entrepreneur, and the fight that's happening now regarding the estate and the validity of his last will and testament. Uh,
So
it is
you
a
have to know,
conversation
yes, yes.
that is certainly worth having. So as you live your life, and as we live our lives, let us be conscious, let us educate ourselves, and let us make the necessary steps so that we can protect our estate, protect our family, protect our loved ones. Because the fact is, we have a time and an allotted time
Well,
to be
I
here.
have an advice, Lady Elise, or a few advice
Yes.
to give to someone. And the reason I'm giving them to you is because I'm not using them. And so I would say to you, don't have anything. You have anything to give.
You know what? On that note, it is time for our news, and I want to thank our listeners again. You can chime in at any time during the conversation. Send us a message on YouTube. Our financial advisor stands ready to answer these questions, to provide assistance should you need any assistance. If you have any questions and so forth, please share them in the chat and we'll pass them on to him and he'll be able to answer those questions for you. But it's time for us to get to our news so that we can know what's happening not only in Cayman but in the rest of the world.
Well, what we can ask for is also, if you have a will that you are contemplating writing at this time and you are in the middle of doing it, you are listening to Flashpoint, put us on a little part of the will. We need a studio space that is...
Seriously?
Yes.
Seriously?
We want it. We want land. We are interested in getting land. We want land that we can build bigger properties to do services that we want to come to benefit the community. So, yes, put us on your will. Give us property. Will something to us. Last will and testament, put Flashpoint right there, you know? Yeah. Send an envelope with a check in the mail with $100,000, $50,000, $5,000, $10,000.
Thank you very much, Mikey G.
You can will these things to us. You can will Flashpoint a bank account with some digits in there. You can do these things. I am not adverse to money coming in. I mean, come on. How many things do we want to do for the community? We want to do so much more. And so, yes, will something to us. Send us a note. Put something in the envelope, man. You need to put the our mailing address on the screen that somebody can just write a check and just send it in. They say you can't send money in the mail, but a check is not illegal to send. So send one. And of course, we have a bank account, so we can have that. Will something to Flashpoint. Alright, so we're coming back, guys. Of course, the news comes up. Of course, this news is brought to us by Asai Ultrasound. For you're dying with laughter. I don't understand why you're laughing. It's not a joke. We want the... Asai Ultrasound for all your ultrasound needs right here in the Grand Cayman Islands and around the world. Of course, our news anchor is Lady Corley Karen, and we want to say thank you, Lady Corley Karen, for the work that you are putting in every single day.
And here are your top stories for this morning's breakfast hour. It is Tuesday, June 3rd. Power struggle over energy future in Cayman. Cayman could be making a costly mistake in its energy strategy. The Caribbean Utilities Company has raised concerns over the decision to approve 90 megawatts of new fossil fuel powered generators, warning that the move could derail clean energy goals and cost Caymanians significantly on their monthly bills. The generators, meant to meet growing power demands amid a surge in population and development, would replace aging infrastructure but double down on diesel. CUC says the island should be pushing forward boldly toward renewable energy, not backward. CUC's CEO, Richard Hugh, emphasized that with solar and battery alternatives available, Cayman risks a major misstep if it fails to embrace sustainable energy solutions. Cayman could lead in Caribbean data storage. Cayman is well positioned to become a secure regional hub for data storage in the Caribbean. That's according to STEM specialist Stephen Taboy of the Department of Education Services. As data privacy laws restrict storing sensitive information on foreign servers, Cayman, with its wealth and tech readiness, could offer a safe regional alternative. Currently, sensitive data is housed locally or in the UK, but Taboy says a push to centralize storage here could benefit the entire region. New COVID variant on the watch. Cayman's Ministry of Health is closely monitoring a new COVID-19 variant, NB181, a descendant of Omicron. First identified in Singapore, the strain has spread rapidly and now accounts for over 12% of cases globally. Though the World Health Organization lists it as a variant under monitoring, Cayman's Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Nick Gent, says the public health risk remains low. Since the pandemic began, Cayman has recorded over 31 cases and 37 COVID-related deaths. Push to improve cycle safety after fatal crash. Road safety officials are pledging new measures to protect cyclists following several serious incidents, including the tragic death of triathlete Per Ondine on Easter Monday. The National Road Safety Committee, working alongside Cayman Cycling, plans to roll out cyclist warning signs, revise the road code, and introduce car-free family mobility days. The community is also gearing up for the 43rd annual Kiwani Bike Ride on Saturday, June 8th from East End to Spots Dock. Over 100 riders are expected to take part in the 22-kilometer event, raising funds for youth initiatives. And now the regional news. Grenada shines in Bravo's Real Housewives. Grenada is taking the spotlight in the latest season of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. The island is featured in 3 episodes of the hit Bravo TV series, showcasing its culture, cuisine, and Caribbean charm. Filmed on location, the episodes are expected to reach millions of viewers across North America, boosting Grenada's tourism visibility. CEO of the Grenada Tourism Authority, Petra Roach, called it a, quote, tremendous opportunity, end quote, to share the island story with the world. Canada-Caribbean dialogue ends on a high note. The 2025 Caribbean-Canada leaders, in the 2025 Caribbean-Canada Leaders Dialogue wrapped up last week in Dominica after a successful study tour promoting cultural and policy exchange. Ambassador Dr. Gerald John Jakes praised the initiatives as a meaningful step in strengthening regional partnerships. The tour ended with a vibrant showcase in Barbados featuring Caribbean music, dance, and traditional attire, highlighting unity through diversity. Those were your news update for this morning. Please continue to stay tuned for more updates throughout the day.
I want to say welcome back. I want to say thanks to Curly Karen for the news this morning right here on Flashpoint. There's so many things happening in the news, Lady Elise. Did you hear?
Yes, I heard about a new variant of COVID-19.
Every time I hear COVID, that thing just sting me like a... I hate hearing about the thing.
Well, one of the lessons that has stuck with me since we had the initial experience or the initial knowledge of COVID-19 is how important it is to take care of your health and your immune system before something happens. So it means eating right, resting, exercising, drinking enough water, and certainly boosting your body so that it can manage or recover quickly after exposure to different viruses, bacteria, or whatever that we will get exposed to, because we live in a world that sometimes, COVID-19 taught us how to be separate from each other. And,
COVID-19 taught us how to be separated from one another, meaning
it's
6
a
feet
touchy
apart.
subject for me.
Husbands and wives sleeping in the bed with a big pillow, in 2 different rooms in the same house. You have to social distance. Listen, you should catch those people and catanine them. You should catch those people who did this thing and catanine them. That's what they need to get. A big cat. You know what a catanine is?
Before, it's a touchy subject for me, Michael G, because in my heart of heart, I believe that too often after we have learned lessons, we go back, and I'm very conscious, and I pray that I remember all the experiences, and so I value each person. I remember not being able to sit in a church, not being able to gather with individuals.
While everybody gathered in bars.
Now we're back to taking each other for granted. We are back to the place where we just live life in that consciousness that we forget what is valuable. We forget. How do we forget so quickly what we went through? And so I am conscious in my own experiences, and sometimes I forget too, but I remember, I try, I'm deliberate in remembering what I go through. So I want to say to my listeners and viewers how much we do appreciate you. We appreciate the function that we had on the weekend, the Flash Family Trivia, and the virtual Flash Family Trivia is coming up next. So you can get your teams together, because we're going to do that. But certainly, I do appreciate you, and I appreciate the time that you have come and stayed with us here at Flashpoint. We love and appreciate you. That's what I have to say. That's a lot.
I know. And you went away from what the conversation about COVID-19. And I want to stay there. The church, I know that God's
You're
church.
stuck.
I'm not stuck. God's church shut its door when bars opened. That was sad to see. And I'm going to,
that was sad.
If you could, catanine. You know what catanine is? I want to. If anybody know what catanine is, and you know what happened? There were persons who stood up against this nonsense that took place, and the lawsuit was brought against it. And you know what happened? They won the lawsuit. They didn't bow under the system that was perpetuated.
Some people lost their jobs, though, Michael G.
And people lost their jobs who should not have lost their job under people who should know better. This is where I'm at with all of this, and it's hard to see this. It's bad. And so when persons did not have this protection, people were in bars sitting down while politicians put marches together without distancing anybody, and churches couldn't come together in a congregation to sit and pray to God. And the church falls prey to these nonsense. I'm just sad by just seeing some of that. Catanine is that what I'm recommending. It's a new pill, a new solution.
Catanine. All right. Well,
that's what I'm recommending for some of our people who are leading in some areas. Catanine. That's what you need.
Without vision, the people do perish.
Without vision, the people. We are looking at a lot of stuff lately. We talked a little bit about energy, and energy is a big issue, right? And we're talking about green energy. Renewable energy is a big thing. You know what? Renewable energy is not a new technology. Please, guys, don't fool yourself. It was suppressed by persons who wanted to make money in other areas, and now you are pushing renewable energy. The trick is the sun is free, but they're not giving the technology to you to just power up your house. You have to connect to the grid, And I'm looking at all of these things. Renewable energy started out with one person living in a desert, in a forest, and decide I'm living off the grid and I'm going to produce my own energy. And when the persons, the status quo, saw this, they decided to use this as their platform to put laws in place to prevent people from independently producing their own electricity. And you have to go through a system to further being taxed again. This is something that is, very suspect. I'm looking at this. I'm just saying. I just say.
We need not have the news at the end of our morning, Mike G. Because
I think it's time for us to get out of the studio, yes?
Yes, it's time for us to get out of the studio, but I promised that I would share the latest update from the National Hurricane Center and the Central Pacific Hurricane Center, and this is the Atlantic Tropical Weather Outlook. And the last update here, 8 a.m. Miami for the North Atlantic Caribbean Sea and the Gulf of America. Offshore of the southeastern U.S. coast, a non-tropical area of low pressure is forecast to form near or offshore of the southeastern U.S. coast along a frontal boundary during the next couple of days. If the low remains offshore, it could gradually develop some subtropical or tropical characteristics later this week while moving northeastward at 10 to 15 miles per hour. The formation chance through 48 hours is low at 10%, and through 7 days low also at 10%. We will be keeping our tabs, our fingers on all the pulses. Yes, with the Hurricane Center. That's coming out of the National Hurricane Center in Miami, the latest update.
Rain everywhere.
Thank you for joining us.
The farmer man love when the rain a fall.
We have homework to do, guys.
Downtown no like when rain a fall.
Thanks to our financial advisor, we have a bit of homework to do, so let us spend that time. And he reminded us it can take less than an hour for us to
please plan your debt at this point, because I'm telling you, I tell you this is that right now it is very tricky. Why don't give me what I should have when I'm young and can use it, and then now wait until I'm old and ready to die and then pass it on to somebody else and I didn't get a chance to use it.
That's a thought.
Couldn't it be that the transference of the inheritance, like the prodigal son, I want my own now. I want to go to do what I want to do now. But with that concept, you want somebody with a better thinking to say, I'm going to start building something. But couldn't the inheritance also be continuing to build what you already have instead of separating?
Yes.
And so we have to look at these things. But we have to look at transference of wealth and the what you call estate to family or to the ones who are recipients of it early enough that they can build on it. But then because of the nature of us human beings, we are so evil. Old people homes are more available now for old people because young people don't want old people around. And so old people are trying to hang on to their property longer. Here's the trick. I'm going to say this right here this morning. By raising rent, and the rental property is so high in cost of living to rent a property, you run the risk of your children basically assassinating you early because they can't go out to live in any alone rental property because the money that they are working is not enough to pay the rent, but is to buy food and maintain their car payment that they need to live that lavish lifestyle. And younger people don't want certainly a poor life anymore. You are not somebody, and old people, young people don't want to live with you. So I'm saying it's a very tricky thing. I'm just saying what I see, it might sound a way for me to say this now, but I'm saying what I see. The young people cannot leave the homes, your personal homes, and I would say that parents, if they want this house and you're not dying early enough to give it to them, I don't know. Let me just move on from it. I just thought I would say that.
And so, on that note, I want to thank you, listeners and viewers, for joining us on the Breakfast Hour. Those who are tuned in on YouTube, Facebook, and you're listening, www.flashpointmedia.ky. Thank you for tuning in. Stay tuned to Flashpoint Media all day, every day. www.flashpointmedia.ky. Connie J.E. comes up this evening just before you go your bed at 7 o'clock. So much to come right here on Flashpoint. Have yourself a wonderful day.
All right, so I want to say, please, lower the rent and save lives. Can I say like that? Lower the rent. Let your children have a possibility of prospect to go out and rent places for themselves and own their own property, and they're not too keen on the one that you have, so you can be secure, more secure. Having said that, like, share, subscribe. Of course, continue to listen www.flashpointmedia.ky. Our web radio continues all day today. Have yourself a wonderful day. In fact, have yourself a Flashpoint day.
Scott, and you're listening to Flashpoint Radio, Rise and Shine, your morning boost of inspiration, news, and fun. With Mikey G, Lady Elise, and Coralie Karen, the unmistakable combination, synergized to navigate.
It's like we're running in circles, going around every day, getting stuck in the hurdles of yesterday. Don't you wanna go further, away from the fray? Let's not get stuck in our worries, we'll make our way. Won't you come outside where the sunflowers bloom? Breathe in the air, look up to the moon. I'll meet you outside, away from the crowd, just you and me together. We'll all sing better outside, just us and the sky. Like a heavy burden, but I can't relate. Do our actions even matter, or is this our fate? At least now I'm feeling better, I know I'm here to stay. Won't you come outside where the sunflowers bloom?
I'm Claude Edwards, and you're listening to Flashpoint Radio. You know, wherever I travel around the globe, I have access to Flashpoint Radio, and so should you.